Hi everyone, Jared here, and it's time for the market video update. It's been a couple of days. In fact, we didn't have any videos up yesterday because I was on vacation, or excuse me, all last week. So, anyways, it's good to be back. Glad to be back at the markets, feeling nice and rested, and glad to be back at the charts. We have lots of good stuff going on this week. Keep an eye on your email. There's going to be lots of cool, fun, exciting changes and new things that we're going to be doing. So I hope everyone's up to speed with all that. If for some reason anybody's not totally clear with that, you can go to the website, daytradersfx.com. There's a little update there, and then you can also have a look at the incoming email today and this week. So lots of cool stuff going on. Okay, so we had an interesting day. The markets were looking really strong, starting off big time for a Monday. They were about 100 points up. Dow was up big time, everything was up, and then that didn't last for very long. Dow looks like it's going to close just about 100 points down. S&P is going to close down. Oil was all the way up at about $86, I think, today, and it looks like it may finish just below $82. So big turn in sentiment today for sure. There was no major news today, so you can see there's nothing on for today, but Tuesday we do have a couple of decently important things happening. The manufacturing production report for the UK, and the RBA is going to have a little speech coming into Tuesday, so that can kind of get things moving just a little bit. Big gap here. You can see the dollar index took a big hit as the markets opened up this week, and we saw that on all of the pairs, but those gaps for the most part have already been filled. But let's just have a quick little look at this daily chart. Dollar index still hanging in up here. This 82 level right here is strong support. So as long as the market can stay above that, then we should see some nice movements and continuations on a lot of these pairs. So let's have a look at them. Let's go real quick to the euro dollar. This thing we just made an absolute killing on last night. It was fantastic. Talked about selling the euro dollar at 126, the break of 126.25, and although my predictions were very safe and very I guess conservative, you could say, and we traded it down to 25.75 for a nice little 50 pip run, and then it just has continued going non-stop. So from our 126.25, it's now down 130 pips just about, and so we grabbed about 50 pips out of that movement, but it just kept on trucking. And I think the euro dollar is going to be kind of interesting. We're going to see what it does here. Here's our gap. It kind of continues to bounce above and below the gap here. But where I'm getting interested is a couple of things have happened here. First of all, it broke out of this channel. This is our channel from the 4-hour chart today, a very tight channel, I might say, that it stayed very nicely in. And then this is where I left the radar, and the market started to retrace and make its way back up all last week. And I wasn't here for any of that. And now it's retraced up very nicely to the 4-hour gap and the daily gap here. So we've got some nice little retracement, and it also, as you can see from this high to this low, has perfectly retraced to our moving average there and to the 38% fib. So very nice area to retrace and turn around, and exactly that is what it's done. Filled that big gap in from the start of the week right there, big gap, filled that all in. Now we've got this trend line right here. You can see on the 4-hour chart, it's kind of running up this trend line, and so I'm going to be looking for a potential bounce or a break here, and we're going to look for a couple of little details. This looks like it's just kind of starting to consolidate pretty nicely on this level, so I'm going to be looking for about, I'm going to say I've got my level here at 124.80, but I'm going to say 124.75. I want to make sure that we can get below this trend line. So 124.75, and I'm going to sell this pair. We've got these lows right here, the previous day lows, Friday, our Friday levels right there, which is at about 124.35, so about 40 pips. There's a nice 40 pip run into that level, and then we could see it go even further beyond. So we're going to kind of keep our eyes out for that and just see where this whole thing goes. But I'm looking for a break of 124.80, 124.75 to continue taking the pair down into the 124.30s at least. So again, just looking for a little 40 pip-ish or so run, but it looks pretty good to continue on through those levels and see if we can get this back down to some of the lows here. The markets are obviously not very comfortable with what's going on. Not a lot of confidence in the euro, and things are just kind of heading right back down again. Um, so we've got a similar type setup on the pound dollar here. The pound dollar has not retraced quite as well. In fact, it's only gone about halfway up to this moving average on our daily chart. You can see this big double bottom right here, and this kind of concerns me in that we may see some further upside on this pound dollar. So I'm just kind of, I don't really love what the pound dollar is setting up and doing right now. I'm kind of keeping a distant eye on it for the moment. It hasn't made it up to the 38% fib like the euro did. It only got about halfway up there. Really kind of got stuck more in this 23% right there. But it's kind of coming off some of those longer term moving averages, the 100-day moving average right here. It's kind of coming off that and having a hard time getting above that and so on. So I'm not really going to do too much with the pound dollar right now. Above 156.00, I think there's some buy opportunities. If we can get a break of 156.00, then I think there's some short-term buy opportunities, but it looks like it might be a little bit hard pressed to get up there. And so that's going to be one thing to keep an eye on. Looking very choppy. I don't think there's anything too exciting to trade. Breaking this trend line should be good, but I think that's going to be a little bit of that one's going to be a little bit out there. However, the euro yen is looking quite interesting. I like this euro yen. It's done the same thing as the euro dollar, more or less. This little rundown here, it's pulled back up to the moving average on the daily chart. It's bounced off of this channel. It came very nicely off the bottom of this channel, ran all the way to the top of the channel, and now here it sits. And so as you can see, it came off the top of that channel, came off the gap. And for those that aren't familiar with the gap, it's just a couple of moving averages. This is a gap right here, but there's also the gap indicator that I use, which is just this moving average. And it came up to this right here. And a great little retracement area and a nice place for this to start turning and heading back down. We also made a killing on this thing last night for the UK session with a sell at 100.25. You can see how that went. Pretty darn fantastic. So now what's happening on this euro yen is it's getting down here and it's trying to get back below and kind of cross and make a run down. But I really like this little consolidation that it's doing just below the trend line, just below this trend line at about 99. It's just about 99.20, right around 99.20, and I think a break of this level could give us a pretty easy run just into these lows right here, which is looks very short, but it's 50 pips, 50 pips, and so I think we're going to have a good opportunity with that guy right there, and so I'm looking for a break of that and a continuation down of about another 50 pips on the euro yen here into about 98.70, 98.60s area. So just watch for that to happen. Aussie dollar kind of looking similar. I'm looking for this Aussie dollar to be able to stay below this trend line. This is a nice little trend line, nice little double top right here. Filled the gap, did all of that stuff, retraced nicely up into the moving average, came just shy of the 38% fib, all of that stuff. But it looks like it just wants to head lower, and even if it just heads into these lows right here, again, there's about 40 pips to get into the lows of Friday, and I think that's a reasonable target. So I'm going to watch and see if this Aussie dollar pulls back just a little bit. If it does, I think there's some good opportunity to sell this thing right around 98.85. 80 to 85. So look for 15 or so pips of retracement, and then look to trade this pair down into 98. 35.40. So that's what I'm going to be looking for on the Aussie dollar. One thing that I don't love here is that gold is really starting to kind of head up. It's breaking and it's heading to the upside, and I'm not 100% loving this for some of the sell opportunities that we're looking for. But if gold gets above 1600, it could make a semi-significant run. So keep an eye on that. Back below 1585, that'll be important as well, and even below 1595 should get the party started just a little bit. So we're going to be kind of keeping our eye on some of those movements, but we've got some really nice setups and some good pips to be had, and I think the euro yen might be on deck first. So we're going to keep our eye out for that, see how things go, and we'll just kind of take it from there. So best of luck, guys. We'll see you in the chat, and happy pipping.